Hey guys, it's Elizabeth, and I'm back for the Naked Truth. It's been like 100 years. And wait a minute, it says 0 viewers, but I know there are people viewing because I can see you in live chat. So are you guys hearing us okay? Losing it for me, 42, or Mary Ellen, can you let me know that you guys are hearing us? But I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So our guest today is Monica, Sleeved After 60.
Hola.
Oh.
And that's Ralphie, my dog. When I say hola, he thinks it's a...
I just want to check into chat. I can see. Okay, they can see us. Awesome. All right. I just wanted to make sure that we were actually live. Hello, Ralphie. Quiet now. Stop barking. No. So I have to give credit to Losing It For Me 42 for making me feel guilty about not doing the Naked Truth. So that's why we're back this week, and I will try to do it. I will try to do it at least once a month. I have to say it's been kind of nice to have my Sundays free. But what she said in her video, she was talking about how when she found the show and the channel, oh, Gretchen's here, Foodie Turned Sleevey is here, my VSG confessional is here, and Mary Ellen. I don't know how to say your last name, Mary Ellen, but I haven't seen you around for a while, so it's good to see you watching. But so Losing It From 42, Sarah was talking about in her video how she had watched people on YouTube, but it wasn't until she found the Naked Truth and the chat that she really felt like a sense of community. So I was like, damn it, I guess I have to do this again.
I saw that, and you know that Sarah and I kind of know, well, we met each other, of course, through YouTube, but her driving, things looked familiar, and I asked her if she was in the Hudson Valley. And I don't want to go too much into detail, but she lived where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Is that
so far?
Yes.
And how far is that from where you live now?
Well, that's in New York, and I'm in the Twin Cities. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So now I think you are probably the newest person post-op I've ever had on the show before. But you've been around the community for a while, but so why don't you just kind of give your stats a little bit about when you came into the community, when you had your surgery, all that stuff.
Well, actually, it's going on a year at the end of this month in May that I went to Bariatric clinic to get medication, and they came to me and said, you'd be a great candidate for surgery, because before that, I was never quite at the right time, at the right place, whether it was because of my insurance or because of not so much my weight, but mostly my insurance, because she had to be over, BMI of 40, and I was always right under, and I didn't want to go in, I know that people go in, gain 20 pounds, but I didn't do that. So anyway, so I started in May. I was just looking to see, like, when did I start? Because I didn't start doing videos until 9/11 for some reason.
But you were watching before that, right?
But I was watching, and I was looking. I started at the end of May.
I was gonna say, I remember you commenting during my drama this summer. So
right. Yes. But what month was that, Liz?
It was like the first week of June.
Yes, that's how I found you, under the bridge.
It was a lovely time to meet me, but anyway.
But it was a lovely time. It was a good time for all of us in a different way. Yes. But anyway, what I remember most, and I was just looking it up because I started sort of with Brit Brat and Perforce and Caitlin and Jane and Kayla and Anna and SJ and Jody. Mm-hmm. But what I remember that really, really sort of took me back, that I thought I should really be on this, it was in July, when I think it was Made Up Mama that did Fat Girl Confessions, or Confessions of a Fat Girl. Mm-hmm. And people, did you ever do one of those?
I'm not sure. I know somebody tagged me and I thought about doing it, but I don't know if I ever did it. I think I do is Confessions of a Fat Girl.
Isn't that your weekly thing? But that's when sort of I remember. So anyway, so at the end of May, I went to the bariatric clinic. I wasn't feeling well. There was all kinds of things going on in my health. I had just, I'd been retired for a year. I retired at 62. And so, like I said, I was going for medication, and they came to me saying, because of all these other medical issues, which is GERD and sleep apnea, and I was really borderline diabetic. So, you would be a good candidate. And I sort of went home. And of course, because I'm one of those horrendous, horrible people that looks everything up. And not only do I want to read about it, but I want to see it. I want to see how they go in there and how they cut it.
That was a requirement of our bariatric program. We had to go watch a surgery on YouTube.
Oh my, that is so smart. That is so smart for
really
people to do.
And I think if you do that, it seems like it's less a big deal than I always thought it was, at least VSG.
Well, and I can't imagine, but you know what? I can imagine, because people who don't, I have a friend, never mind. I forgot. We're
okay, yes. Now
yes. Just people
like
who don't want to know.
If I'm not looking at you, it's just because I'm checking chat, and I guess they're planning a New York meet and greet, so they're all good.
Okay. So, but anyhow, so when I saw, I watched all of that, and then I don't know, out of nowhere, where this other stuff came up, which was incredible. People talking about their experiences, and so I started the process. That was the end of May. Then I went to see the nutrition. I thought that probably by November I'd have surgery. And as I've mentioned to almost 300 people who subscribe, who would have known? I thought 30 would have been enough, would have been plenty, that people would actually want to hear what I have to say. But anyway, as I went along with the process, I thought that by November I would have had it. But so I started, and some things happened. My surgeon left, or was lefted, because of the hospital that I was. So I found a new hospital in November, and that's the university. I went to University of Twin Cities, University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and that's kind of how I got. So my highest weight, I like to say, in this century. So my highest weight in this century was 240. My highest ever recorded, I think, was 256. And I was part of a study. So for many years, when you Googled my name, my weight came up.
Well, that was not a very confidential study.
And how that happened, I have no idea. Yes, I have no idea. Somebody sent me an email and said, hey, guess what? So, and this was the beginning of, of Google and internet and all that stuff. So anyway, so in this century, I've gone sort of up and down.
And how tall are you, Monica?
How old am I? I'm going to be 60.
How tall?
I'm right under 5'5". I shrunk a little with age, and I'm going to be 64 in another 2 weeks. So I've battled. I've gone up and down. My go-to program always in the past has been Optifast, or had been Optifast. And in 2003, which is when I turned 50, I was on it for about 10 months with nothing but Optifast, and lost a tremendous amount of weight. I don't remember specifically how much, but after that, I had tummy tuck. I had my breasts done. I didn't have implants. It just had lift and pulled and, sucked and all that stuff. And then my honey, who's 11 years older than I am, he retired. We went to Paris for a month and had this incredible trip. And I came home with new clothes and blah, 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 and gained all the way back.
Mm-hmm. That's happened.
Why I tell that story.
So you actually just had surgery, though, when?
You mean that one VSG surgery?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had surgery. So it took a little longer because I thought it was going to be November. Guess what? The person who did my sec eval thought that I should continue seeing a nutritionist or a dietitian and my therapist that I've been seeing, for 10 years. And so it got pushed back, and then I changed doctors and all that stuff. So I just had it 7 weeks ago on March 14th.
Awesome.
March 14th of 2017.
So March of 2017 was a big month for you.
Yes, I got married.
You got married and had weight loss surgery.
Yes, and like a week apart. Because when I finally got a surgery date, my sweet, Babu of 22 years that we had just been living for less than 2 years, but we've been engaged for 16, said, you know what, I think we should get married before you have this surgery. And I said, yes. So now you know someone who got married before, a week before VSG.
Yeah.
Yes. And after being engaged for 16 years.
Okay, so let me just recognize a couple people who are here. Susie's here, Kim's here.
Kim and Susie.
And Patty's here, Spaghetti's here, and my
Patty's here.
And I can't. You would say this better than me. Hasta cielo y más.
Hasta cielo y más.
Okay.
To heaven and more.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that name. Jillian.
Yes.
Is here.
She found us. Yes.
Oh, I don't know her. And
yes.
So I just needed to check it. Somebody said, my VSG confessional said, I want to see your boobs. Were you talking about Patty or you were talking about Monica? Just asking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know exactly what. I'll Instagram her.
Okay. So you can see.
Ladies, you do not have to. You can. There's nothing wrong with having implants, but you can also get your tatas where they belong without implants and just have lovely little things. So it's a choice. And I know that if you live in Orange County, there might be no choice.
I don't know. Kim VSG, our first question. So we logged on and I was not wearing a Liz top tonight. I was actually wearing a sweater, and then Monica had hers on and she was like, why aren't you wearing it? So I had to go down and find one and put them on. And Kim wants to know, how do I wear a bra with a cold shoulder shirt? She bought one today. Well, right now I'm not wearing a bra, depending on the shirt.
Well, and I am wearing a bra, but I don't know if I should show it.
Strapless bras with them. Okay, you're seeing
right now at Macy's, they're on sale.
Yeah, they have them at Target too. I mean, I get
Target
too.
Target.
Sometimes, depending on the shirt, I'll actually wear a regular bra and bring the straps down.
Me too.
Sometimes strapless bra doesn't look right. Okay, anyway, we have not even done community celebrations yet. So let me go and do that really quickly. There were not a lot, you guys. Is it because I haven't done the naked forever? But she didn't post this, but I saw that she posted a video earlier today. Wendy Allison in Australia, who's been a guest on and who I love, is having plastics on Friday. I think she's having breast and arm surgery. I haven't watched her video yet, but just want to send her good thoughts. Melissa in Tennessee, VSG, is down 75 pounds since her surgery, a total of 44 inches, and she is in a size 12. She hasn't been size 12 since the end of middle school. Shauna Elliott is celebrating that she got approved for revision surgery today. So Shauna, if you're around, I would love to have a guest on who's had revision. So reach out to me at some point and message.
Angie is having revision, I think, the end of this week.
Okay, I don't know her either.
Yeah.
Angela. Gretchen completed 2 5K so far this year, registered to run 4, planning on at least 3 after that. She's maintaining 120-pound loss plus or minus 8 pounds for her highest weight. I don't know why that cracks me up, Gretchen, but it sort of does.
Because it's real.
Plus or minus 8. Okay. I've heard of like 5, but so, sorry, Gretchen. But also, I think I saw that.
We're laughing with you, Gretchen, not at you.
Laughing with you. And thank you for your sweet text yesterday. I do not know if I replied because it was right in the middle of some other stuff that was going on, but I got it and I appreciate it. Also, I think Scotty, he didn't post this either, but I think I saw on Instagram that he did his first 5K today. Rob.
I think was that yesterday, maybe?
Oh, was it yesterday? Maybe it was.
Yeah. So hopefully he's home fine.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know. I haven't heard from him in a few days. Scotty, what's up? Where are you? Robin, who I always forget, Ruben Dunst. Her YouTube name is Phaedra Ovid. So for whatever reason, because I guess that's an opera thing, right? Because she's an opera singer. But of course, I'm not into opera. I'm into the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and there is a Phaedra on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I would get these comments from this woman, Phaedra, and I would think she was a small Black woman who lived in Atlanta, even though there's no reason I should think that. And she's
whose husband is in prison, but we don't talk about that.
Oh, right. I haven't watched it a few seasons, but but anyway, she's not. She's blonde, but it just cracks me up because she commented the other day on one of my videos as Phaedra, and I was like, oh, Phaedra's back, forgetting that it was actually Robin. So anyway, but Robin / Phaedra is celebrating a 75-pound weight loss 2 years post-op. Still not at goal.
Whoa.
The final 35 pounds is phase 2, and it's all on me, but she's determined. Then on to phase 3, which is plastics that require courage and dollars, which I totally get.
Yeah.
Sandy Burton is celebrating 1 year post-op and 137 pounds down. Sarah Losing It, who is, I found out because I was like, that's Losing It for Me 42 on YouTube and Instagram, but I was like, are you on Facebook? Do I know you on Facebook? And she messaged me on Facebook, and I thought she was like a weird stalker because I'd never heard of her before. And I realized, oh, you're the person I just said. Message me. Anyway, she is down a total of 130 pounds since April of last year. And
Damn, that's a person. That's a lot of weight.
Well, that's what I was joking with Gracie the other day. I was like, God damn it. I think I told you this when we were hanging out the other day. I was like, God damn it. I wish my surgeon would give me RMY. I think I'm going to sue him. And she's like, yeah, he really failed you. Go in there and tell him you lost 200 pounds, and I think you'll win that suit. I'm like, still, if I had had RMY, I would be done. Okay, let me just check chat real quick. They love Patty's blue bikini, which is very cute. She also has a new cute pink one right now. Let's see. Beautiful Alicia is here.
Hola, Alicia.
And okay, but if you guys have celebrations you want to post in chat, I will catch up with them. But that's kind of what we had. So that's one of the things that we said we were going to talk about today. And I don't want to jump into it right away. I want to get a little of your background in first, but
Sure.
Mothers and daughters and weight. I think that's a very
the week before Mother's Day. This is the time.
And this was Monica's suggestion, and it was so great. But first, let's talk about your just kind of general history with weight, and a little bit about, you've talked a lot and been very helpful to me personally in terms of looking at eating disorders, and you've been in recovery for eating disorders. So do you want to talk about kind of your experience with weight?
Yes. So I have I have memory. My earliest memories of binge eating, of eating candy, was really young. I was born and raised in Argentina, and I'm an immigrant child who came to the United States at 9 with a green card, just in case you're asking, just in case anybody's listening. We were all legal. We came all legally in the 60s, in 1963. But I remember, doing that and just sort of, binging, which we didn't even have that word back then. So anyway, move forward, I would starve. I would starve because, of course, I was a child of the late 60s and the 70s, and we didn't do what we do now. We didn't, it was all about starvation. That's how.
Yeah, well, I was a child of the late 70s and early 80s, and I didn't eat practically all of high school. And that's probably what fucked my metabolism up so much.
Yeah, me too. We didn't run, I didn't start running until in the 70s. So anyhow,
the boys.
But I would lose and gain. And I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. And it was about binge eating. It was about, eating a half a gallon of ice cream at a sitting and crying because I didn't want to. And then the talk that I talk about in my videos all the time, that talk of eat it, don't eat it. And you go, the hell with this, let me eat it, get it over with. And then, there's that sense of peace. So I started going to therapy in the 70s, maybe like 74, 75 as an adult, which, I was 22, 23, whatever. And I would talk about this, I have this, something happens with me and food. And of course, back then, even the word, we didn't have the word eating disorder, and eating disorder was really about anorexia. We didn't even talk about bulimia yet. So anyway, so I would go to therapy, I would start talking about it, and we start talking about my relationship with my father, my relationship in my marriage, my relationship with my mother, and we never got to it. So, I'm worked in mental health. I'm a former mental health professional, and I'm
going to interrupt you real quick just to say, in case people didn't watch your video or haven't watched your videos yet, I really liked what you were talking about in your video last week about having surgery and about how you had your master's before your son was born, and that kind of analogy. Can you just share that? I just think that because it's so new after surgery, and it's so true. You just don't know.
It's a new computer.
Yeah.
So I got married, and if you haven't watched my videos, if you go, I think there's one about relationship. I think it's eating disorders and relationships, because I really talk about marrying somebody who was a long distance runner. You know, we were 21 when I got married, and how I thought he was going to fix it for me. You know, that being, and then of course it became this red herring that that's what all the issues, you know, if I only lost weight, if I only was perfect enough, and then perfection is really a cornerstone for a lot of us with eating disorders, you know, all or none and all that other stuff. But what I was saying is that I had just finished graduate school. I have a master's degree in clinical psychology, and I gave birth. So I finished in December and had my baby in February. And of course, because of the degree that I had, took a lot of classes in child development. I knew, boy, did I know, and I read everything, because I'm one of those people. And my baby's born, and I have all this knowledge, but the baby won't stop crying. And, you know, so back then, you know, there was a nurse that would answer the phone at my pediatrician's office, and I called and I started crying, because of course, no sleep, breastfeeding, all that stuff, you know. And she lovingly said, Mrs. Monica, your baby doesn't know that you have a master's degree. So it's kind of not to worry. And that's kind of how I feel now with my new tummy, that, you know, I've been on YouTube, I've read everything I could. I was so prepared, but there's some things like the feeling, you know, when you know that you're full.
Right.
Yeah.
And
particularly, this is what's so great. And I so agree with Sarah when she talked about having the community, because I mentioned that. And Tiger, Gastric Tiger sent me, I mean, and of course I know him, but I didn't know that he would know me through you, because he watched me. He sent me this lovely email saying, you know, here are the things, how I chew, and then I wait 30 seconds because, and then somebody else said, sometimes you might sneeze, sometimes you might get a hiccup, which, you know, Caitlin,
we know, right?
I love her. So all these things that, you know, and I think of the people who had surgery who don't have this, like, where do they go with all that stuff? You know, they don't have a nurse to call and say, I still.
Yeah, I mean, we had to go to classes for 4 months, and I learned I think they spent, like, I don't know, Patty, what was it? Maybe 2 weeks actually talking about anything that had anything to do with how we were going to eat after surgery. I mean, I didn't learn anything from that, but of course I met Patty, so it was all worthwhile being there.
Was Patty your Google queen?
She introduced me to YouTube, but
I mean, was she kind of one of those people that did all that research ahead of time?
I mean, she might have been. She talked a lot about YouTube, but it's surprising to me that I didn't do all that much research, because I'd been thinking about this on and off for a long time, and I was just like, I'm gonna do it. But then it was after surgery, because I didn't really start watching YouTube till the week I was recovering. And then it was like, oh my God, I learned more in a week watching videos than I ever did in the 4 months of class.
Absolutely. And that's why too, you know, for those of you who are watching this, who are watching us, who are new, it's so important to just get in there. And I think, you know, I don't want to go how we met, because I don't want to go back there, but you know, of just I'm making a message, and somebody answered. I think you answered back about, you know, when you were under the bridge or afterwards, maybe,
or jumping off the bridge or what?
No, that was your couch phase. It was you were on your couch crying, so you were home. You were home safe. But I don't. Obviously, I must have said something kind, because you wrote back. And other people, I mean, you know, Nirvana, who I think of Nirvana as being sort of Oprah, and I said something to her and she wrote me back. So to all of you out there, and I'm really, I think of myself as being good about answering, but the thing is, when you put something out, people will come from the woodwork to give you some insight and some help. Some of it you might think, oh my God, you know, I haven't had that experience, but I know that others have. And some you already know, but sometimes, like Gastric Tiger, you know, and this is, and do this and wait 30 seconds. Now,
And I had forgotten about that. I actually had an app on my phone that I would use to do that when I first
I think I have that app. I just haven't used it. And you know what else too? And I know I don't want to use her name because she doesn't use it, but Foodie turns Sleevy. Sleevy turns Foodie turns Sleevy. Who's on? She had, and again, I come to this from an eating disorder sort of point of view, and we can talk about that more. I went to treatment almost 9 years ago, right around this time. 8 years ago, I think. I was in treatment at this point. Eating disorder treatment. It's a big, it's a program that now is in a couple of different cities. It's called Emily. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember it now. Emily, yeah, the Emily program. Oh my gosh, the Emily program after someone. But so, the whole idea of being full and what to eat and not measuring and not dieting and all of that. And Foodie turned Sleevy to whatever.
Whatever, we know who
whatever, but you know who you are, my sweet girl who's going to be a triathlete. She wrote me back and she said, hey, you know what? I don't do the whole, because my doctor said, and the dietitian said, we're not going to tell you half a, some people they're told, 2 ounces, whatever.
But when you say that they didn't tell you, I'm like, wow, that would be really hard in the beginning with.
On the other hand, it's perfect for me because then, and that's what they were saying, you need to figure this out. If we tell you 4 and 4 is too much for you and you feel like you have to eat 4, or if it's 2 and you feel like you need to eat 2. And what she said was, I just do a regular, and then I eat until I'm full. So I'm not doing a small plate and which in a way that's also great. Maybe for some, because then it makes you really think about what does it feel, because I eat too fast. I'm noticing that. And part of it is because it's this little thing. And I'm using a baby spoon and the whole thing. And I think part of it is I'm forgetting how this was a social together that, my husband and I sat down and ate. What?
Somebody is chatting. I don't think he's a weight loss surgery patient, asking if we're going to take off our clothes because it's called The Naked Truth. And Patty just said shoe fly.
Well, he got on too late.
I know, that already happened. She already took off her clothes. Now we're dressed. Anyway.
And at 64, I don't know if you should be watching that.
Yeah. But what I find interesting too is everybody, and I know some people are, and maybe I come across this way too, but I try to say just for me. But I think, everybody does things differently and it works for them. I mean, like Amy, who's one of my closest friends, in the beginning, would weigh once a month. And that would never work for me. But that works for her, and we all need to be, but I have to, and sometimes people will give me advice of things you shouldn't weigh and you should, it's I should do what for me.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people that has told you in the past, when you do it every day of, don't, Ralphie, come over here. I'll have you. It's okay. Come and I'll let you sit on my lap. Come here. He's watching the door because I closed the door. Would you do this if I were on Johnny Carson? Would you do that?
This is way better than Johnny Carson.
Jimmy Kimmel, would you do that?
Even knows who Johnny Carson is.
Oh, that's right. If I were on Jimmy Kimmel, would you do that?
Right. There have been 3 different Johnny Carsons since.
But you're right. But on the other hand, I know that there are other people who are my surgery sisters, and not all of them are doing well, because I think also that sometimes it feels okay and then you crash. So everybody has to do
and you just
right
figure it out. But I mean,
and also what their doctors tell them, because their doctors might know more than we do. I always think I know more than anybody else, but it's just
Nirvana's here. Penny.
Oh, Nirvana.
Tina is here from Australia.
From Australia.
Yes.
Whoa.
Okay. So let's see. It's 5:30.
Yes. Let's talk about mothers.
And I know we did have a couple of questions on YouTube, but I do want to get to this mothers and daughter thing too, at least.
Yes. And if not, we need to do it another time. Let's not stress.
makes sense to do it. If there's other questions people have, probably post them in chat. It's easier for me than going back and looking on Facebook. But so tell me, why don't you talk a little bit about what your experience with your mom was and how that impacted your weight, and I'll talk about mine, and then maybe other people have.
Yes. Well, you know, I've been thinking about this all day, and it so happened that I talked to my mother for like an hour on the phone today, because now we do FaceTime. And I think my mother was a very, my mother's 86. She'll be 86 next week. She is, but she really was a beautiful woman. And, you know, I think I was trying to, you know, I always talk about kindness and grace, and sometimes we're not as kind and graceful to those who are closest to us. But I think that my mom, you know, was always on a diet. She has never had a binging problem the way that I did. You know, she would maybe gain, you know, 20 pounds and then lose it. And, you know, we started going to a diet doctor together when I was all of 16, of getting, you know, major drugs.
My mom actually, when I was 16, gave me Ipecac. Ipecac is what you take to make yourself.
I know, because I got into that.
That is
later
no
on,
way out.
What's her name died? What was her name who died? The Carpenter, Karen Carpenter died, and that's what she was using. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Because then I would binge, and then I would do that. And I hate to vomit. But anyhow, so I think that my mom, the first time I had diet medication was when I was 13. And I wasn't incredible, because now when I look at pictures, but it was an issue for me. And it wasn't so much the weight, but the behavior that was so hurtful to me, the feeling of out of control, and the feeling. And of course, when you're a teenager, you associate, you know, thinness. And I think I actually made a video about that, of, you know, of confusing needing to be loved with needing to be thin. And
that's one of the shocking things that kind of comes up after you lose the weight and you realize you still have a lot of those issues about being loved, whether you're 400 pounds or 200 pounds or 150 pounds or whatever.
Because it's a hole that you have. And you know, different people fill it with different things. It just so happens that we fill it with food, and maybe shopping, or men, or sex, or drugs, or, you know, different people do it different ways. And
so how did your mom react or influence your weight at different stages in your life?
The one thing, you know, again, I'm old, people. You have to understand, there was no texting. There was no, I mean, the first time that I went to live in Hawaii in the 70s, the news came a day late, because we didn't even have satellite, if you can believe that. But my mom would always start our conversation when once I got married and went, you know, on my life. My mom would start the conversation with, how's your diet? Mm-hmm. So it was, and I think she, because of her experience and how she felt, I think that she always worried that somehow if I wasn't thin, or if I didn't have control over my weight, that somehow my husband was going to leave me, that somehow, you know, I wasn't going to attract what I needed to attract in order to have a good life, which meant, you know, I mean, and we've had this conversation, you know, that it's interesting, because, and so many people do that.
Do you see your husband coming downstairs? Is he doing a cameo?
Downstairs? Oh my God. No, Ralphie doesn't have the door closed. Poor thing. So anyway, so I think that she would, that was her sort of bottom line. You know, if you gain weight, you're not going to be happy. Your husband's going to leave you. Never mind the fact that, you know, that was a huge part of our marriage. That was that red herring that we always discussed, and we went to, you know, to therapy together. And it was always, and like I said, if I was thin enough, and if I was in control, and if I was perfect, then everything would be okay. And it came because of all the years that I went to therapy, that one time I didn't confront her, because that's not how, you know, we do it in my family. But I just sort of said, I'm not talking about my diet anymore. But I have to be honest and say that, you know, we had a huge separation in our relationship.
Oh, there's your husband.
Okay. I'm on TV here. Johnny
only in the female, yet much younger and alive version.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, have you ever had somebody just come into the door like that?
Oh,
So
sure.
anyway, so I told my mother that, but we had sort of a, and it wasn't, we never had a fight. We just sort of stopped being close. And I think that a huge part of it was my eating disorder, because I felt incredible shame having to see my mom when I gained weight.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. And, you know, we don't live close by. It's a trip. And I just put it off and off. And it was this sense of self-loathing. You know, it was my issue. It wasn't hers. And I couldn't, even though I had all that surgery too. I never told her about the surgery, but I never, you know, I was never able to just say, look, it's my eating, it's this thing that I have. And I'm sure that she sees it very differently, because she's just a dear and she loves me and I love her. But it was something that brought us together, which might be great. And, you know, when I told her, when she was here this year for Thanksgiving, and I told her about what was happening, that I was going to do this, because I didn't want to keep it a secret. And she's been very, very supportive. And she's also been, you know, my looks have changed as I've become, you know, old.
You are gorgeous. I mean, you are.
Stop. But
no, what did you say to me before we got on? If I say you're gorgeous, what do you say?
Thank you.
And shut up.
But anyway, and she's been incredibly complimentary about me in being gray haired, you know, because that was really a leap of faith that I took about going gray, and just she's been incredible. And I give her a lot of credit for doing that, because it's got to be really difficult to be the mother of a daughter with an eating disorder. Ours, you know, and I've gone to all those family meetings at my treatment place, and to watch the people look at, because we would have everybody, all eating disorders together at family, you know, family groups, and to watch the people who had, you know, daughters, and this is coming from a very biased place, but to watch those people who their daughters were anorexic, and to watch the morbidly obese that were us. And at times I wonder if people thought, well, you know, better this than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. My sister actually had anorexia. But so everybody's saying how beautiful you are. Susie says you're a knockout. My VSG confessional says Monica is my goal. So gorgeous, gracious, and classy.
Oh my God. She needs to send me her address, because I need to send her something. And so go ahead and do that, Erin.
Chemistry Queen's here, Lauren. I don't know if you've ever watched. Have you? Or live? I'm not sure. People are talking a little bit about their parents on chat. I'm just going to say really quickly what my mom has just texted me right now, so I know she's not watching, which it makes me feel a little better. You know, I find it really interesting. My mom is super, super smart. However, and Joe B. Red Funny Girl is here.
Jody.
But she always, always, always gave me the idea that you were only valuable if men were attracted to you. I mean, and it's coming from somebody who was as smart as she was. It's really very sad. And she never, so when I always got huge praise when I was in my thinnest phase. And she would get me amphetamines. She would give me, do whatever it was to
my mom too. Yeah.
Help me get there. And then when I went through this, you know, the period where I was most overweight, which was probably the last 15 years before I had surgery, where I was super morbidly obese, she would never say anything about it, but she would say awful things about other people who were overweight. And I have said that to her since, because in the beginning, when I first lost weight, I would get really pissed off about how proud of it she was, which is really silly.
Yeah.
You know
exactly what you're saying.
But it's kind of like the thing where I talk about how weight loss surgery husbands can't win. It's like either you say they look gorgeous and you're like, well, what was I before? Chopped liver? Or you don't say anything because of that and everybody else is telling them they're gorgeous, and then it's weird. But And so it was sort of the same thing, but it was just like, it was every conversation. It was everything about how beautiful I looked and how proud she was and da da da. And I said to her one day, you know, you never said anything about me when I was that overweight, but the way you would talk about other people who were overweight, like specific examples of times she had done that. And she's like, well, I never felt that way about you. I'm like, but of course not, because I'm your daughter, but how do you think that feels? You know?
And is that true? Is that true? Because I mean, deep inside, did she not also?
Of course it's not true. I mean, of course it's not true. Really. So some of the questions related to this, related to mothers and daughters, are on the other end. I know both you and I have sons, and I feel I wanted a son because I was like, it's going to be so much less complicated. That's not necessarily true. It's complicated in different ways. But he also took after his dad's side of the family. So is like, I mean, he may weigh 125 pounds soaking wet right now at 20 years old. But, and you also had a son. I don't know. Did he ever his weight?
Well, and I think we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. I did tell him about having surgery. We don't discuss it, but you know, I can remember him little. And I was in the car crying because I had an episode of, you know, of binging. And he sort of said, why are you crying? And I said something like, I ate too much. I don't know what I said, but what he said to me was, Mom, food is fuel. You know, which I thought,
exactly. I never thought about that.
Why can't I just figure that out? And but the other thing, you know, my mom was talking about, we were gossiping about somebody in the family, and I'll leave it at that. And you know, and how her life or whatever. And I had to really sort of, I thought it was a pivot period for me. Cause you know, I got divorced in 1990. So I'd been single for 27 years. I had my own home. I lived my life. And I said something to my mom, because these people that we were talking about, they raised their daughter to be a commodity, you know, like, let's give her this, let's have her have plastic surgery, let's have her have piano lessons, let's do everything we could so she would get a man who would keep her well. And we were just kind of talking as, you know, to women. And I said to my mom, you know, I think that when you're making those kinds of statements, that what you're saying is sort of like, look, she doesn't have your life. And what you're not looking at is the fact that I created this life myself. You know, that it wasn't that I was thin and young and you know, my husband created a life for me. I created this life for myself, and you can do that. You know, which my mom just kind of looked at me like, yeah, you don't. Because I think that that's the mistake that they use, and I don't know whether they still make that mistake, that instead of really encouraging us to take care of ourselves, and you know, you don't need to lose weight, you just need to have a good job and have a good profession and be well educated and all that stuff, that it was about, forget all that, you know, go to college to get an MRS. Right. You know, be somebody's wife. So, and I think that hopefully those things are changing, but we're the only ones who can change it.
I mean, I think it all depends. I mean, it just all depends on the families. I know I have friends who have kids who are struggling with their weight, and it's heartbreaking to me, because I can't imagine, as somebody who has gone through it, and you so don't want your kid. My VSG confessional wants you to adopt her. Losing it for me says she is watching her niece, who is 13 and weighs more than her now, breaks her heart, because and I mean, it is such a tough struggle. And my little granddaughter, who is, she'll be 3 in October. She's a little,
who's adorable,
who is so adorable and looks more like me and she's not my real, I mean, we have no blood relation. She's my stepdaughter's daughter. So there is no blood relation, but we look a lot alike.
Yeah, you do, actually. I would have never known that.
But at Easter, I almost bitch slapped this woman. At Easter, Vivian was running, it was like an Easter egg hunt, and there were all the little kids out there, and she's a little chunkier than the other kids, but not, you know, I mean, she's fine. Yeah. And she's running after the eggs, and my brother-in-law, who just passed away, his wife is from Thailand, so of course it's like 3 pounds, and doesn't speak much English, and she's like, oh, she's so fat, look at her chase after the eggs. And I just wanted to like if her husband hadn't died like the week before, I would have bitch slapped the woman. I was like, shut the fuck up. But what my stepdaughter, I mean, what I see them doing and what I would do now at the place I am in my life now, not necessarily 10 years ago or when my son was growing up, is set a positive example for them. I mean, do what you want them to do. I posted on, when my dad was in the hospital and I was really bored, I was looking at different blog posts, and there was one that had all the, and it's on my Instagram if you want to go look at it, maybe on my Facebook, of books about positive body image books to read with your little kids. And, you know, I mean, it's all about, but I cannot even imagine, I cannot even imagine what it would be like having a teenage daughter in this day and age, overweight or not, because the messages.
Yeah, well, and I always said that thank God, because with all the issues that I was having, I would have raised an anorexic, you know, drug addict. So I'm glad that, you know, of course she would have dressed well. She would have been the best little anorexic drug addict, which is not, I'm not making fun. But, you know, and she would have, just like my kid who has no interest in clothes and shopping and all that, because usually they don't go where your, you know, how your parents are. But I think it's a tough, and I think it has to start with us, and it's really hard. You know, professionally, I always went out of my way when I would interview little girls to say something positive about, you know, how happy you look, or how your face, or, you know, how smart, and especially because I dealt with the Latino community, so I would talk to girls about how smart they were, that they spoke 2 languages, because it's making all those, you know, statements. Yet I know that I feel that way. You know, and you and I also have talked about being present, and how when you have this eating disorder, it's so hard to be present, whether it be about the relationship with your parent, or, you know, now with your dad having an accident, anything like that, that you can just, when that eating disorder is activated, it's so easy to be there. And then that's why with surgery, when that goes away, it's just like, what do you mean I can't eat?
Here's a question for you, and you may not have experienced this yet, because I think I'm much further out than you are now when I experienced for the first time. But when that stuff starts coming up, and I know you've been in recovery, but I have a feeling that you may have slipped sometimes in those 8 years.
Well, recovery isn't that.
It's an ongoing process. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so what happens when something comes up and you want to, but I don't know if you've experienced this yet, where you want to deal with it that way and you physically cannot? Because the first time that happened to me, it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that it's almost like, you know, being able to kind of stop and figure out, because, you know, I believe, and this is my therapist having talked to me for years about this, is that one of the things about eating disorders and why we overeat is that we really avoid that pain, whatever it is, uncomfortableness.
Uncomfortable feelings, sitting with feelings.
Uncomfortable feelings. So it's like, you know,
yes, I
can remember having a bad day at work and just wanting to get to my Cheez-Its.
Well, I was telling Martha the other day about an experience I had when I was stressed. Oh, here comes Dale Cooper, because I cannot be here without Dale Cooper coming.
See, that's how Ralphie is about opening.
Yeah, Dale Cooper, say hello. They haven't seen you in a long time.
Oh.
Gracie hates Dale Cooper because he keeps her awake every night. But anyway, I had a really stressful day with my dad one day last week and was feeling really overwhelmed. Yeah. And was coming home, and in the car, first thing my head went to, what can I eat?
Yeah.
What can I drink?
Yeah.
A relationship issue that really hadn't been on my mind that much that came back up. And it was like everything I was doing, trying to not deal with it. And it was funny. I was having a text conversation with my son last night, and I was like, I really don't want to talk to you about this on text. I would rather talk to you about it in person, because I think it get misconstrued. And he was like, well, what am I supposed to do then? Sit with my feelings? I'm like, yeah, what a concept. Why don't you do that till you get home?
Yes.
And we've spent our whole life trying not to do it.
Well, and the thing is that, you know, and with aging too, one of those things of reasons why I made a decision too, is that when things come up, that's my go-to. So, and you know, having been in mental health my whole professional career, and when people, you know, something would happen and kids were taken away from parents and all that stuff, and you talk to them and you see that they're in crisis and they go back to whether it be drinking or whatever it is. Yeah, because there's something big, and you take that away, and then life is really screwed, because then the laundry has to be done, and you're not thinking about how I need to stop drinking, and this is the last time. And you know, it's the same thing I think with my eating disorder, because then I could always talk about, I could always go to, I can't fit into anything, I feel awful, GERD, whatever, and look at me, and I can't, and tomorrow. And if it's on Monday, I'm going to start on Monday. And if it's the beginning of the month, it's on a Monday. If it's the beginning of the year, it's on a Monday, that, you know.
Right.
And so once that goes away, it's like, what are you talking about? What? You know, like relationship with your parents and things happening. It's like,
all this stuff happens.
I wanna, you know, go to bed.
To sit with that shit. But unfortunately,
go to bed obsessing about what I ate and what I'm going to eat tomorrow. You know, okay, I've been retired for 2 years, so I can say this, but I've had times in my life when I called in sick because I was so full of regret and self-loathing from having binged. And I say, okay, I'm staying home to fast, or I'm staying home. And before 11 o'clock came, here was the leftover of my Cheez-Its.
Yeah, I've done that as well. I'm sure.
Yeah. And people, you don't have to tell us if you're still working, we won't tell on you. But how many of us have done that? Because, and what was it? For me, it was the stress of work that was killing me. Yeah. But if I can go into that, it's me, and I'm terrible because I'm not doing it, and look how bad, and I can't, and everybody else.
I mean, it's this thing. That's why.
And it's the voices, you know, I sent you the book, The Voices, that ED, which is not erectile dysfunctioning, people, it's eating disorder. I've had some messages.
Yeah,
I talk about ED. They thought I was going to talk about erectile dysfunction. But when that happens, that you're so, and part of it too is that we hate to admit, at least I hate to admit, that at times I wasn't the best parent. Yeah. Because I wouldn't go out. Yeah. I wouldn't do so. I wouldn't take my kid to us. No,
I feel horrible.
Water parks? Are you kidding me? Shoot me now. Water park?
I wish I could have been how I am now when my son was growing up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me
but
too.
I wasn't, and I have to.
Yeah. And they're
Go ahead. Sorry. So we're almost out of time. Can you believe this hour went by this quickly? So and I need to do the Inside the Actor Studios questions. Have you had and we'll have you back on once you're further out from surgery, because everybody obviously loves you, and there has been a great conversation on chat, and I'm going to copy it for you and send it to you because it'll disappear when we go off, so you can read the thing people said. So I want to ask you, have you had a huge NSV now that you want to talk about, or because you lost a lot of weight?
A couple of them. First of all, I weigh less than my husband.
Mm-hmm.
My hairdresser, and I'm wearing, today I took a picture. I got, because I always bought things for my neck, but I wouldn't wear them because I felt I was too fat. I had a little, work here and there. Don't be too impressed, but, still. And when I went to get my hair cut, the thing, whatever that thing that they put on you before, it was choke, and now I'm on the third button. So those are NSVs, huge NSVs. Yeah. And I just, the fact that going to bed, my biggest NSV has been that I go to bed not being afraid of GERD, because GERD was killing me. Figuratively, literally.
And I've only had it happen to me like 2 times in my life when I was sleeping, but I can imagine how terrifying that would be.
Yeah. Because then you wake up and you think, and then that, all these other things. So those have been most.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the Inside the Actor Studio question.
Yes, ma'am.
Inside the Weight Loss Surgery Studio question. So what's your favorite word?
Just word?
Word.
Answer. I like how you write it. Answer. I like answer. I don't know. There's something.
Answer? Okay. That's
answer. Not cancer.
Yeah. Oh, answer. I'm saying it wrong.
Answer.
Okay.
I like how when you write it, how it's all, write it down in all these curly cues. I don't know, I was always fascinated by that word as a kid.
What's your least favorite word?
Oh, I want to say regret, but that's not true. I regret that I said regret.
You can choose again there. I'm just, it's raining apparently, which is shocking me. And I think my car window's open, but anyway.
Oh, wow. I don't know, probably stupid. I don't like when people use that word. Yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Other people. I'm really a recluse. I'm sort of an introvert, but when I'm out and about, I get energy. So other people, anything, whether, yes.
What turns you off?
People.
People, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I can relate to that.
And close-minded, I don't want to hear it, that kind of stuff is not a good thing for me.
What's your favorite curse word?
It's the MF word, but I won't say it.
Okay.
Because it has to be like a really like Alzheimer's. Then it's that word.
Okay.
No other word. No, that's the only time I use it.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love to hear kids laughing.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Any door that needs W40, that noise.
Oh, yeah.
My teeth hurt.
My VSG confessional is talking about how a lot of people hate the word moist. I think that's so funny that people hate that word.
Really? You hate moist cake?
I don't hate moist, but
no, I'm talking to Aaron.
Yeah. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I'm done working. Hopefully I never have to work again. But I think that if I would have, I would have wanted to have gone to law school.
Okay.
And I did a whole video about this. I was
going to say, you were just telling me about this when we talked the other day.
When I was marching and I
when you were thinking about going to law school. And then
I was. I had already applied and everything. And then I realized I needed to get a divorce and I changed my job. What a good memory you have.
Well, that was just like 2 days ago.
Well, yeah, that's true.
What profession would you not like to do?
The person that takes tolls, that takes the money and the tolls, I'd have to shoot myself.
But you know what? I miss those people here in California because now they don't have them and you have to remember.
Oh, they no longer have them.
Pay it. And I don't remember always. And then it costs a lot more money. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Mrs. Griset's here to meet you. My husband's mother. My husband, not his wife. My husband's mother. Okay. And his ex-wife is a lovely woman. If she's listening or watching, she's a lovely, lovely woman. But I would like to meet his mother.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this was really fun, and I realized how much I missed doing it. There are a lot of people on the live chat who said that I should have them on. So can you guys Facebook message me, and Chemistry Queen too? I would love to have you on. Can you message me if you're interested, and we'll get some things scheduled. I can't commit to doing it every week because
it's too much, Liz. And summer is about
because summer. I want to do other things.
Yes, you need to date, and you can't date and have your show. I mean, Jimmy Fallon has his own life,
That's true. So, so we'll get the schedule going, and hopefully we'll get some co-hosts back. This was kind of last minute that I decided to do it, so so nobody could come play with us. But I'm fine. I think we kept the conversation.
We did a really good job.
That's
I think.
Fine.
Yeah. We have really good chemistry, you and I.
We do. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Ms. Liz.
And watching chat, it was really fun. And a lot of people had great mom stories. I'm sorry I didn't get to say them, but I just felt like we were running out of time. But I'm going to copy it and send it to Monica so she can read it. And you guys have a great week. And I will probably see you tomorrow with a video.
Besos, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Liz. Take care.
Where can oh, maybe I can't stop the broadcast because my mouse isn't working. Oh, interesting. You guys may have to listen to us forever.
How bad would that be?
Okay, here